Good morning to you, you, you. Good morning, good morning to you. And many more, and many more, and many more. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome, welcome, welcome to Daring Dialogues. I'm your host today, Shantae Charles. I hope that you have been having a great, and wonderful day. It is Wednesday, relationships. So if you are with us for the first time, on Wednesdays, we talk all things relationship to self, relationship with others. And we have been, for several seasons now, we've been reading two books, Drama Free by Dr. Nedra Glover Tawwab, and her other book, Set Boundaries, Find Peace, A Guide to Reclaiming Yourself, which is talking about your own personal boundaries, family relationships. So these are the two books that we have been working through. And I will say that it has definitely been helpful for a lot of people who've been reading along with us. I know it's personally been helpful for me. She does in her books sort of give you some action points of things that you can do. She also has workbooks that go with these books as well that you can order. She also has affirmation cards and an action deck that also goes with these. I have all of the other tools that go with it, but I primarily read from the chapters online. So today we are starting off with chapter 11 from the book Drama Free. And she is talking about troubleshooting relationships with parents. In the other book, we're going to be looking at her section on what you are doing to honor your own boundaries. And we're going to look at self-care and the treatment we allow from others. So those are our topics today. Let's get into it. Chapter 11, Troubleshooting Relationships with Parents. Anthony began therapy with me to work through his resentment toward his father, Michael. After having been absent in Anthony's life for 22 years, Michael wondered if he wanted to reconnect with his father, who had remarried and fathered two children in his new family. Anthony was fortunate enough to have a close relationship with his stepfather, who had been in his life since he was 8 years old. His mother had moved on after Michael left. When Anthony was 4 years old, in some ways, reconnecting with his father felt like a betrayal to his stepfather, whom he considered his real father. Throughout the years, Anthony has stayed in close contact with his paternal grandmother, and when she died, he saw Michael at the funeral, who asked him for his contact information. The initial conversations were slow, and Anthony wanted an apology. After 2 months of talking to his dad every other week, Anthony asked why he had stayed away and why he wanted a relationship now. Michael explained that he didn't know how to repair the issues between them and was sorry for his absence. But Anthony couldn't understand why his father would wait so long to try to make amends. After talking to Michael for 4 months, Anthony stopped answering his calls and texts. He couldn't get past thinking, why now and not then? He didn't feel like he needed his father as much as when he was a child. He didn't know how to feel angry and also open his heart to Michael at the same time. In our clinical work together, Anthony told me he wanted to get over being angry toward his father and figure out if he wanted a relationship. Since loyalty was valuable to him, he worried that building a relationship with Michael would adversely affect his bond with his stepfather. Now, getting over your feelings. Often people seek therapy with the hope of getting over uncomfortable emotions, but you don't have to get over anything. Indeed, trying to get over hard feelings takes more energy than allowing yourself to be angry, hurt, or frustrated. Getting over it won't change the past. It's important to work through your feelings while moving forward in your life. People often say to me things like this: my grandmother died. Can you help me get over it? I lost a job that I really loved. I want to get over the pain and the embarrassment. My best friend ghosted me and I'm sad. How do I get over this? The truth is that no therapist, vice, or void filler will help you get over emotions you're still processing. My typical response to people looking to get over something is, I can help you feel better by allowing yourself to feel multiple emotions at once. You can validate your feelings, and we can help you cope using healthy strategies. It isn't what people expect to hear, but it is the truth. Many times I wish I had a get over it pill, but that doesn't exist. And there's nothing healthy that can stop you from feeling. Anthony needed to be angry without seeing it as something useless or bad or even good. He needed to feel his pain and his emotion without judgment, which surprisingly is something that people often have an issue with allowing people to do. Allowing people to feel what they feel without judging them for their feeling. The challenge with anger is how we react and behave when we're angry. We have a tendency to focus on people who engage in destructive behavior when angry, but violence is not the only reaction. I've seen people destroy property, and I've just witnessed others simply go for a stroll. Here are some healthy ways to manage anger. Notice she does not say, here's some healthy ways to rid yourself of anger. Number one, own it. Stop pretending you aren't angry and accept the feeling. Two, learn what triggers your anger. Certain words, memories, environments. You don't have to avoid being triggered, but you can plan how you want to respond when you know you're being stirred up. Determine if it's worth it to put yourself in certain situations if you know you're going to be triggered. Knowing your triggers will make it easier to decide what to do. Get to the core of your feelings. As Anthony was processing his anger, he found that his core disappointment was a feeling of abandonment by his father. With anger, there's often underlying sadness, disappointment, or hurt, and that needs to be addressed. Develop strategies to express your anger that will help you to let it go when you're ready. Talk about your anger. This is helpful when you're intentional with your words. Relationships can benefit when the other person knows exactly how you feel. When you don't speak up, it shows up in your behavior through passive aggressive actions. And people don't really like passive aggressiveness. Denied anger turns into violence, passive aggressive behaviors, depression, or hurtful words. Anger isn't a problematic emotion. It's a natural emotion and needs to be acknowledged in order for it to subside. The best thing we can do is be honest with ourselves about our feelings. Deciding to stay and work through a relationship or leave. Anthony wanted to determine if he should pursue or reject the relationship with his father. This was a sign that he cared about figuring out the best possible solution for both himself and Michael. To determine what's best, think about these things. Number one, is there abuse involved or is the person dangerous? Number two, does the offending party seem remorseful or willing to acknowledge their role in the relationship challenges? Number three, is there one problem or many problems that need to be resolved? Number four, has the person actually changed? What is the evidence of change? Number five, will acknowledging the problem lead to change or more of the same destructive behaviors? Number six, what solutions have you tried in the past? If they weren't effective, was there an issue with your methods or was the other person unwilling to participate? And number seven, can you live with ending the relationship? Does the relationship change your outlook? Has it changed your outlook? If you had never encountered this person up until this point, would you still be okay? Would your life have gone on regularly? She says, in my years as a therapist, I've seen people maintain relationships with parents who were physically abusive in childhood, but apologetic to their adult children. Conversely, I've seen people maintain relationships with parents who haven't changed and who refuse to acknowledge what they did was wrong or harmful. In all instances, it's everyone's choice to continue a relationship or not. Michael seemed to be remorseful, apologetic, and willing to take responsibility for the weight of his absence and his actions. Nevertheless, it's still up to Anthony to decide if the relationship with his father is worth pursuing. Next time we read, we're going to look at how to stop hating your parents. Because maybe you're one of the people that don't have a really good relationship at all with your parents, or you dealt with, layers of abuse, whether that be physical, emotional, etc., financial abuse. Some people went through. So you might be at the I'm not ready to have any kind of communication with this person stage. And we're going to talk about that on next week. All right, moving to the second book here, Set Boundaries, Find Peace. We're looking at the chapter called What Are You Doing to Honor Your Boundaries? And we're looking at self-care and the treatment we allow from others. What is self-care? Self-care is something that we talk about a lot on this broadcast in various methods and forms. But self-care is simply how you nurture and restore your mind, your body, and your spirit. The key word here is self. So making time to care for you is entirely up to you. Don't confuse self-care, however, with treating yourself to lavish gifts and pampering yourself. In some instances, you might choose for that to be part of your regimen, but real acts of self-care have very little to do with spending money. Instead, they're about showing up for yourself by setting boundaries. So here are some boundaries to consider. Saying no to things you don't like. Saying no to things that don't contribute to your growth. Saying no to things that rob you of your valuable time. Spending time around healthy people who exhibit healthy relationship behaviors. Reducing your interactions with people who drain your energy. Protecting your energy against people who threaten your sanity. Practicing positive self-talk. Allowing yourself to feel and not be judged for what you feel. Forgiving yourself when you make a mistake and not beating yourself up about it. Actively cultivating the best version of yourself. Turning off your phone when appropriate and necessary. Sleeping when you actually are tired. Experiencing things alone instead of waiting for the right people to join you. Ooh, that's a really big one. And I say that because I see so many times people say, well, I would love to do this, but I wish I had somebody to enjoy it with me. Go on the trip, take the journey, go do the thing, go experience it, and don't wait for the right people to join you. Who knows? Maybe the next time that you do it, there will be some people to join you. But don't wait for the right people, especially if you have a desire and a passion for something, or especially if you might be on a time crunch. And when I say time crunch, I'm talking about health wise. Um, I can't tell you the number of people I know that are no longer here that didn't get the chance to fulfill some of the things they really wanted to do in life. So again, Don't just wait for the right people to join you. If you have the time, you have the resources, you have the passion, go experience the thing. Treatment we allow from others. People are always taking advantage of me, the writer says. I hear this frequently in my office during therapy sessions. But are they? The real question is, how are you allowing people to take advantage of you? It's your job to maintain the standard of how other people treat you. After all, people are getting their cue from you as to what's tolerable in your relationship with them. Tell them and show them how you want to be treated and model what you want by treating yourself well. Boundaries to consider. When people raise their voice at you, tell them it's not okay. Address issues when they arise instead of allowing them to fester. When a boundary is violated, clearly define your expectation for communication in the beginning and throughout your relationship. For example, I prefer we talked about serious matters in person instead of over text. When I notice that someone is trying to manipulate me by intentionally trying to guilt me or pushing my boundaries, I recognize it as manipulation and uphold my boundaries. And sometimes you need to go as far as telling the person, this feels manipulative or this sounds manipulative, and I will not be manipulated into anything. When someone says something about me that isn't true, I immediately correct them. Example, they might say, "You're always late." You might respond, "I was late today. However, there are other times when I've been on time." Don't argue, just state what you know to be true. So, think about that. Her question is, are people always taking advantage of you, or are you allowing them to take advantage of you? When it comes to your self care, are you making time to care for your mind, your body, and your spirit? I know we are um, saturated in our culture with people who are obsessed, right, with taking care of the body. There is no shortage of tools and athletic equipment, athletic events, videos, how to's, apps that are centered around taking care of your body. Try to go find the equivalent of that when it comes to taking care of your mind or taking care of your spirit. Probably, I think maybe the most popular app I can think of would probably be Calm, right? That has a little bit of like storytelling and some meditative practices on there. But compared to these other areas, our spirit and our soul, people focusing on the self care of the body, to me, far outweighs that. But think about how you can find and how you can begin to practice taking care of all of those things because they are all equally important, not just our physical bodies. All right. This has been our readings for today. I hope that you got something out of today's readings. Again, this is Set Boundaries, Find Peace, a guide to reclaiming yourself, and Drama Free by Dr. Nedra Glover Tawwab, both books, a guide to managing unhealthy family relationships. All right. Let's see. Pastor Ben, if you are here, I'm going to try to send you. All right. I have sent a link, so hopefully you will get it and you'll be able to come on and talk. I do not see any comments today, so if you are commenting, um, I cannot see them. I don't know. Every day, every day YouTube gives me some different some different issues here. So we will see. I'm going to hold on. I'll hang on for another minute or so to see if he can get in. This is just so weird. I can't see any comments. Good morning. I can see you. Good morning. Can, can you hear me?
Okay, listen, there was no place for us to comment. It didn't show on the screen.
Yeah, I'm not seeing comments at all. So if people are commenting, I can't tell. It's just only giving me the add
Hmm.
button and the share button. So I'm not sure why. And I did update my
Okay.
app for YouTube. So if you're out there, I want to say hello. um, when the broadcast posts, because again, YouTube screens all of my videos for a whole 24 hours before they allow them to post, which is why they don't post immediately. I have no control over that. So that's why I tell people to watch the show live because it's not going to be available again until another 24 hours. So people who are watching the replays, they're actually like a day behind us if they're not watching in real time. Again, I don't know why, all the reasons why YouTube is choosing to screen my videos for an entire 24 hours before they allow them to post, but that is what's happening. All right, Pastor Ben, your thoughts on today's topics?
Listen, people are like children. A child will only go as far as you allow them to go. When you set the boundary, chances are they're not going to violate that boundary. They may, just to test you again, when you're firm with it and stern with it, then they know, okay, I can't do that anymore. So unfortunately, we have a lot of adults that act like kids. They want to run right past the stop sign.
Well, what one person said it this way. They said most adults are children, or most adults have a child within them that has unresolved trauma. And
Hmm.
if they don't deal with their trauma, their emotional age falls way behind their actual age. And I think that I have found that to be true. That a lot of people
Yeah.
are physically grown, but they deal with a lot of emotional and mental immaturity. Some of that can be addressed through therapy, some of that can be addressed through just basic education, right? I think about all the times I talk about with not being able to cook until my adult years. To me, that was a deficit, right? Because it made me feel immature in that area of my life until I developed the skill for it. And I think sometimes that it's easier to see that, or it's easier to tell that in the physical with people rather than getting to know them and realizing, oh, this person is emotionally immature. Like sometimes it takes a little bit more time to get to know a person to recognize where those areas of immaturity are. And sometimes by that by that point, depending on how you started the relationship with them, you could be far gone into the relationship before you realize, man, this person does not have the mental maturity, the emotional maturity for us to keep going in this relationship. And sometimes people have already had children with those people. And now you are at least signed on for a contract of 18 years of dealing with someone
Hmm.
who is emotionally immature. And yeah, it's one of those things where people feel very frustrated um, because of that.
Hmm. I agree with that analogy, because actually we all have a little child in us.
Yeah. Hmm.
Some of us have matured, but we let that come out and play a little bit here and there.
Hmm.
That's what we call that fun side.
inner child.
But some, yeah, but some really have issues, like they've been traumatized and they haven't really gotten over it.
Hmm. And like she said,
Yeah,
I
cause
don't even think it's necessarily getting over it as much as it is acknowledging where you are, acknowledging things that happened to you in your past, and then putting together what I call a care plan for yourself. How am I going to manage these things? Because we know with trauma, some trauma we know the brain can heal from it, but you can still have soul wounds or soul scarring from it, like she said, which is where that trigger part comes in. So if I know that, for me, for example, I dealt with the trauma of child sexual abuse. I know that there are certain things that trigger me when it comes to that, whether it is visuals, whether it is films, whether it is news stories, all of that kind of stuff. So because I know my trigger points, I've already dis- I've already come up with a plan that if I encounter this, if I encounter something where I can't prepare for it, it just hits me, or I'm just shown it, or somebody starts talking about it. What do I do in those situations? I think
hmm
part of it is having that care plan for ourselves. Like she said, with self care, most people just look at the body side. Okay, I gotta exercise more. I gotta make sure I get enough sleep. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. We really hone in when it comes to the physical, but we slow down when it comes to the soul and when it comes to the spirit. And God forbid if you have religious trauma, because then that becomes an obstacle to that spiritual care for yourself.
hmm
And I know
yeah.
you I know you
I
have
dealt.
probably come across lots of people who are dealing with the spiritual trauma part. How do I engage in self-care for my spirit? So part of
Definitely.
that can part of that can be decolonizing their mind, their faith, their belief system, their processes, um, getting themselves out of condemnation and guilt and shame, right? That is a part of that spiritual self-care.
Listen, the majority of people that's on the Monday night Bible study that I do, they suffer spiritual trauma. And the majority of them I met on Facebook because there would be something either I posted, somebody else posted, I would comment on it, then they would reach out to me through inbox and they would say, well, I've been feeling that, or that's what I was thinking, or something like that. So that began a connection and a conversation. So they would end up on the Bible study, and they haven't gone anywhere. I'm talking about years now.
Mm-hmm.
They're there. Every Monday night, they are there. So I see that as therapy for them and helping them to get over
Mm-hmm.
that abuse that they suffer spiritually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, because I definitely teach against that. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely teach against it. Uh, we got so many leaders that think that it's about controlling, dominating other people. When did Christ do that? He didn't.
Yeah, I mean, and again, we could probably get into some of that on Thursday.
hmm
but
Yeah.
there is a serious need for people to take their soul and their spirit just as seriously as they take their body. And
hmm
that's one thing that I feel like there needs to be more of a harmony. I wouldn't necessarily say balance, but there needs to be more of a harmony. If you are grinding and grinding and doing all these things when it comes to the physical, but you're letting your soul go to the wayside, you're letting your spirit go to the wayside, you're not really becoming the holistic person that you need to be. Um, And even with somebody who says, well, I'm an atheist, okay, but you still have a human spirit. So
Mm-hmm.
even if you choose not to engage with what we would call the divine, there's you still have a human spirit. There are principles that are universally true, whether you ascribe to a divine being or not. And we see that across the board when we look at what's happening to our nation. Um, there are people who come from all different walks of life and background that can clearly see that there is a moral eroding happening in our country.
Mm-hmm.
That whether you believe in the divine or not, you clearly know that there are certain things that are wrong, right? That are harmful and that shouldn't be engaged in. Like what adults
Yes.
have done with children, for example. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
be a Christian to know that that is morally reprehensible. So, um,
Yes.
yeah, go ahead.
So release the files.
Yep, release the files.
I mean, seriously.
I
I
think
think
that's
that's
one of the
one of the
things
things
that got
that got
people on
people
that
on that
side.
side,
It got their
got their
attention
attention.
Hmm.
because you
Because
got
you
people
got
on that
people on that
side, even
side,
though they
even though they may have
may not have many
many
morals.
morals,
Hmm.
That's where they
that's
draw
where
the
they draw
line.
the line.
Yeah.
So they're
They're
standing up,
standing up,
and
and
people are
people are
panicking
panicking
because of that,
because of
trying to
that,
cause
trying to cause
distraction and
distraction and
everything else.
everything else.
Hmm. And
But they're not
again,
They're not
selling for
selling for
anything
anything
less
less
it goes back
than
to,
releasing
than
the
releasing the
files.
files.
yeah, it goes
Hmm
back to that there is some universal moral codes that people abide by. That whether you
hmm
believe in a divine being or not, this right here ain't it's not gonna fly. It's not gonna fly. But getting back to our last part, when it comes to adult relationships, when did you know? I want you to kind of think about a time when you had to make a decision about whether or not you were going to continue or discontinue a relationship with someone. What was a big red flag for you that even though you wanted the relationship to work, you knew that you had to separate and that this relationship was going to come to an end? Like, what was a red flag for you?
Well, wow, I got a bunch of stories, but I'll minimize it.
Give us one.
Um, I'm like this. When you talk down on me or put me
Put me
down,
down,
or nothing that I say is
is
right
right
or
or
true.
true.
I mean, if I
I mean,
say
if I
six
say
plus
6
six
plus
is
6 is
12,
12,
and you say
and you
no, it's
say no,
not.
it's
Two
not.
times
2
six is
times 6
12.
is 12.
See, that's an
That's
issue.
an issue.
It's like you want to
You
make
want
me
to make me
wrong
wrong,
and you
and
right.
you right.
Even though you're saying the
See,
same thing. Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
that don't work with
that
me.
don't work with me.
We're both
We're
right,
both right,
but you're the
but
only one
you're
that's
the only
going to
one
be
that's
right.
going to be right.
See, I can't.
I can't.
When a person
When a
has to
person
be right
has
all
to
the
be right
time
all the time,
and they can't see
they
where they're
can't see where
wrong,
they're wrong.
that's a big no-no
That's a
for
big
me
no-no for me
because it's not going
because
to
it's
go
not going to
anywhere.
go anywhere.
Hmm.
You're not going to say.
You're not going to say, okay, you're not.
Matter of fact,
Matter of fact,
me and
my last marriage, we talked about everything. If I did something she didn't like, there was no yelling or screaming, no fussing. There was a conversation. I did the same thing. And when we got to the bottom of it was nothing. Just one misunderstood or didn't understand why something was done. And that was it. Your relationships are ruined because somebody come yelling and screaming, they didn't understand something, they give the person a chance to explain it.
Lack,
Communication,
yeah,
conversation.
lack of communication, and then I think sometimes it's not even just that; it's how you handled it.
Hmm.
It's the
Mm-hmm.
how. So a lot of times,
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
and when I say how, I mean, did you shut the person off? Did you stop them from speaking? Did you, um, if you all are in a deeper connected relationship, did you put that person out? You know, did you say I don't want to hear anything, and then you come back 30 days later and you're like, okay, I'm ready to talk, but no, that person's entire life had to shift and adjust because you needed 30 days and they never got a chance to, you know, communicate what was going on. And
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people having to come back from how their life shifted is also a part of why it ends. Because it's like, are you going to do this to me again? And the trauma from that can make people say, you know what, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
No, thank you. I do not want to endure this again. You know, I don't want to tick you off, you know, on some random thing, and then next thing you know, you are abandoning me again. So sometimes it's even in the how the relationship changed, or the actions that you took that led up to us not being connected. That too can make people say, you know what, I'm good on trying this out again. I'm not interested in going this direction. And the reality is, if you're on the other end of that, you have to be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be okay sometimes with people saying, I'm not interested in re engaging this relationship with you. I saw enough. I saw your behavior. I saw how you handled things. And it's not okay with me. And I don't plan on getting back into any kind of relationship with you because I don't like how you handle conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't like how you handle
Mm-hmm.
conflict. Final thoughts today.
Ooh, your health.
Your health, your physical, mental, and spiritual health are very important.
Take care of
Take
it.
care of it.
Listen, I
Listen,
am a
I am
firm
a
believer
firm
in the
believer in
delete
the
button.
delete button.
I believe that.
Believe that. See,
Blocking,
blocking,
I believe
I
that. I will
believe
use
that.
the
I will
block
use the
button
block button
because I
because
don't
I
have
don't
to
have to
put up with
put up with
people
people
violating my
violating my
boundaries.
boundaries.
I don't have to
I
do
don't
that,
have to do that,
and I
and I
won't.
won't.
This is very true. And I know, even especially with online communication, um, it's still talking about family members as we wrap up. I have to, I think about it this way. If my family members, if I'm having a problem communicating with you in real life as a family member, why would I want you in my social space? Because now I'm asking, why are you in my social space if we are not
Hmm.
getting along? And then the other part of that would be, who are you trying to connect to in my social space that you don't necessarily need to be connected to? So these are all good questions. These are all good things to think about. And as we wrap up today, like Pastor Ben is saying here, it is important to look at your options, as the writer was saying today. Think about whether or not you have actually processed your feelings on, she's talking about parents, but I'm also saying family members. Have you
Hmm.
processed your feelings sorry, I have some people going through some issues right now where they're finding out later in life that their family members do not really care for them. And this has been a shocking thing for them. It's been hard to deal with that they've lived their life pretty much thinking that their family was for them, and then having people to come out and say, well, I don't like you, and here's why. So it is making that person, number one, have to feel all the feelings. They're having to go through the process of realizing the people that have been closest to me have had a deep seated animosity for me, and I'm just now finding this out. That is a lot to process because it makes that
Mm-hmm.
person have to go back and relive certain instances in their life to say, it's making them reevaluate all of their life, all of their connections, all of their get togethers, all of their
Mm-hmm.
support that they've given to people over the years who are now coming out to say, I dislike you, I deeply dislike you, and I have had this deep seated animosity for you this entire time. As the writer said, that person is needing to feel all the feelings. That's not something they need to suppress. They
Mm-hmm.
need to feel the anger. They need to feel the sadness. They need to feel the disappointment. They need to be able to work through it and not suppress it. So, as we close today, I know this was a lot to think about, but if you are in a good, healthy family relationship, if you're in a good relationship with your parents, I close by saying honor that, value that, cherish that. Um, Continue to connect with your relatives in healthy, positive ways while you can, especially your elders while they're here. Continue to keep those positive relationships going. This has been another episode of Daring Dialogues, and I've been your host today, Shantae Charles. I want to thank you for your time and attention, and thank you, Pastor Ben, for joining me again in conversation. Remember, light is the most daring opposition to darkness, so continue to go out and be what?
Light.
Light. Tomorrow we'll be back 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with we'll be talking about forgiveness and how to have repair even when forgiveness may not come. It's going to be an interesting lesson on tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Be well.